Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm doing something a little different today. This is interview, conversation, musings, thoughts, ideas with another one of my doula friends. I am going to let her introduce herself and then we're just going to get right into conversation. So take it away.
Thanks, Dana. I appreciate that. I am Andrea Weaver. I'm a full spectrum doula here in California. And that's a little bit about me. Just keeping it short and sweet.
That's amazing. So Andrea and I connected on TikTok of all places.
Hmm.
And we have done a couple of lives together and we meet fairly regularly just compare notes and vent about life as doulas. Um, but a hot topic came through my desk today.
Your desk is crazy.
And I wanted to have this conversation. We started the conversation, but things got juicy. So I was like, let's record and let's use this as an opportunity to help um, either aspiring doulas out there, but also moms to be, pregnant people who may be interested in working with doulas and really just need some guidance and help on finding the right doula for them, how to find the person that is aligned with your view, and then also give you what you need.
Hmm.
So without being very specific, there was a TikTok that was shared with me by yet another doula and she just wanted to know my take. I gave her my take, but I also shared it with Andrea because I'm like, and I want to hear your take too. So the
Yeah.
whole idea of informed consent, and first before we go any further, informed consent is very much like industry jargon, right? Like the average person doesn't necessarily know what informed consent means, and it's also not just something that can be applied in the birth work world, but that's where you hear it the most, informed consent. So is it a doula's place to assist with informed consent? How, what is the role of a doula? How do we educate clients? And how are we showing up in the birth space, right? What to look for and understanding how you can be supported, how you can be educated, and the job that we are there to do. Is that a good way to cue this conversation? Because I just feel like
Yeah. I mean,
I want to get into it.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of facets to the conversation. I think it's not about, like Dana said, the person that posted the video. This is a conversation we've been having, even on one of our lives, around folks misunderstanding what advocacy could be, looks like, depending on who you're working with as a birth worker. A nurse can be your advocate, right? So it's not impossible. I think, listen, I mean, where do you want to start? Because I could listen, we can get into my initial thoughts about what I was hearing. We can get into like how you want to roll it.
So I think where I want to start out with is the idea of doula work. There's such a, like you said, misunderstanding of exactly what a doula is. I think it gets muddled because some people think the work of a doula overlaps with that of the work of a nurse. And sometimes it can in the moment, right?
It does
Like,
intersect.
right, it intersects. And also a midwife. The assumption is a doula is the person that is there to deliver the baby. So, a lot of people think, well, I don't have to um, go to the hospital if I have a doula, or if I'm at the hospital, I don't need a doula, vice versa.
Hmm.
Um, but the reason why this conversation it stood out for us is because there is, just like with anything in society, especially this American society that we live in, race and class is something that's just prevailing. You don't escape it. You can try to ignore it as much as you can. You
Hmm.
can try to be one of those, I don't see color people, but it's just, for me, when I hear a conversation of a doula saying it's not my job to give my client informed consent or I only educate them on certain things when they ask, that might work for some people that are, having babies and don't have certain things to worry about, certain experiences. But I would find that if that were my mindset in supporting my clients, it would be a very dangerous one to have.
Mm.
The majority of my clients are Black women. The majority of my clients are lower income, um, you know, all different education backgrounds, but there is a bias that I witness in real time, a lot of times with how information is delivered to them. Um, and then just how they're treated, how they're cared for.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Well, what, so the conversation was doulas are not responsible for clients making informed decisions. And when I hear that, and then it's kind of put together with, well, it's our job to also educate. So what are you educating them on? Right? Whether or not you choose to say this is not your job as a doula, why do you think there's the education piece? I think folks are playing semantics with words that sound aggressive. That's what I think. The conversations around informed consent are often coming from marginalized communities, especially ones that are also marred as aggressive. So the of separation of that, the othering that we see in all these other systems is now happening in birth work. I have worked with affluent clients, folks that pay for their doctors to be in the room to birth their babies. And if you've ever birthed a baby in a hospital, you know that it's a slim chance that your provider, the one that you see all the time, is going to be there during your birth. They might even hit a rotation while you're there, but they will not be the people to birth your baby most of the time. And white. And I still had to remind my client or cue my client to recognize that this doctor was going to break her water without her consent. So my job in that moment is to help my client stay informed. So my job, or what I did in that moment, was ask, "Oh, are you ready to break your water?" And she said no. That is informed consent. So the conversation around getting consent from a provider, no, we are teaching folks about their bodies, about what they can and cannot do in these spaces because of the years and years and years, let's just say across the board, of how women are treated when pregnant and birthing in this country. The high maternal morbidity rates, yes, affect Black, Brown, Indigenous, gender nonconforming people at enormous rates. We don't even check around for our LGBTQ plus folks. There is no statistics that are out currently widely shared, and I'm sure it's probably double or triple our numbers. But that does not mean it's not happening to affluent white women. It is. I've seen it. So what is it that you're teaching them then? You're a hired white glove babysitter? What's the work? Doulas are there to provide emotional, physical support and education. Anytime you're educating someone, you are preparing them for something, an experience, a life, a job, breastfeeding, whatever, so that they can make a decision about how they would move. How are you a doula not going over a birth plan? The birth plan helps them continue to make informed decisions, or birth plans, because you should have several. If not, if at minimum, you should have two, one for a vaginal birth, one for a C-section, if that might happen. Fail safes to say, I'm ready for an epidural, or no, I don't want an epidural. I want them to stop asking me. That's our job. It's to honor their requests and help them and cue them and give permission to for them to change their mind. That's informed consent. We're modeling the behavior. At the end of the day, we're modeling the behavior. We're playing word games and semantics, but that person in that video even said, it's my job to educate. You're correct. So what are you educating on? It's no way in hell they're having those conversations, and they're not talking about what happens in the hospital. They're not talking about interventions. They're not talking about body movement and trying to avoid a C-section. So how do we avoid a C-section? We just dream about it, and it's just dropping out of the sky by an angel and stork. And I want to add, I'm kind of sick of rage bait.
Yeah.
This smells of rage bait to me, because you cannot say in the same part, it's not our responsibility to get conformed consent, but it's our responsibility to educate. Now you're playing word games. No, a client should not be asking their doula for permission, but we also have to train people to stop looking for other people to make decisions for them. That is why we go into hospitals, is because people are afraid. There is a power dynamic in a hospital. We have to teach people about that, because a lot of us have only ever been to the hospital when we're sick. And some of us don't go then. We have to be on our deathbed. So if that's your experience with a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby, of course you're going to default to what you know,
Mm.
right? So the education piece is to empower your choices. But to say we don't need to get informed consent and it needs to be between the provider, how do you think they're going to know about informed consent? You have to practice. That's a practice. That's why we talk about the brains framework so much. Benefits, risk, alternatives. What does your intuition say, right? These are all things that we practice. That is teaching informed consent. We're playing games on the internet now. That is a grown person playing kid games on the internet.
But I also feel like when we talk about consent in education, the first part of it is the consent doesn't come from it's between you and the doctor. The consent is you. Nobody is going to tell you
Thank you.
what you're going to do unless you allow it, right?
And even the language, get consent. No, 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 hold up. It's consent, period.
Right. Do
Period.
you consent? Do you consent to?
Do you consent? Not get me, not coerce me, not convince me. I'm empowered because I'm asking questions so that I can be informed to make a decision that best fits me and my family. Now, I get there are people that might do a little too much as doulas. I'm sure there's always one. But at our core, our job is to support better birth outcomes. That's our job. That's at the core. We all got our own little sauce, all of us. And if you're scared to stand up for your clients, then just say that and stop wasting everybody's time. Full
Yeah.
stop.
There's a certain, you can't toe the line, right? Like it's,
No.
I go into the spaces and I always do a silent prayer in the elevator up. I walk, I get buzzed in, walk up to the nurse's station. How is the energy going to feel, right? I know how I'm coming in, and it's kind of like almost me kind of holding my breath. How am I being received? Hi, I am the doula for my client. She's in room whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is warm, friendly. Oh, great. Happy to have you here. She's here. We've already got her doing then I know how this collaboration and working relationship is going to be. And that's what I see it as. I don't see it as,
That part.
I'm coming to protect her from you guys, or I'm coming to step.
No.
It's not that. We are working together as
We're a team.
as collaborators. And I love when I have births, I always make sure that I say after experiences like that, it was so nice working with you, right? Because
Yes.
we're working together. But flip side of that, I've had situations where I come in and it's not so warm and fuzzy and it's not friendly, right?
Right.
Or I'm in the room and I don't get acknowledged, I don't get spoken to, but I'm still there to do a job. And
Correct.
there's still a purpose and a point for me to be there. But I'm also not going to toe the line and just be like, whatever they say, whatever they tell you, whatever.
No.
It's like, even if there's information being given, do you have any questions? Do you understand everything that was just explained to you? Are you comfortable, right? Do you have any follow-up questions?
Do you need a moment to think about it?
The moment, right? It's so much to process, especially
Right. In real time and you're birthing.
right. I was gonna say, especially when you're feeling contractions and you're hooked up to the machines and they're coming in with like, okay, it's been this amount of time. Now we want to introduce this. And we've talked about it, but you never know how it's gonna go until the moment arrives, right? Like,
Yeah. I've birthed a mini baby in a hospital. And I say parents, it's only happened to me twice where we've had to ask a nurse to leave twice in my 8 years, going on 9 years of doing this work. And I didn't make the decision.
right.
I didn't go talk to the charge nurse. I didn't. They just knew it was possible because of the education that we talked about and the experiences that they had prior. That is informed consent. There are doulas that do not birth in hospitals. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with the protocols and the bureaucracy and the what we do here. They don't want to deal with that. That's fine. I don't mind. Because I understand that there is, speaking of, this is what came up for me while you were talking too. It's like, I'm coming into this space as a guest. I'm an invited guest, and I'm allowed to participate in the ways that me and my patient or client agree to. Obviously, within the guardrails of my scope of work. And I think that's also missed. The scope of work also depends. But the guardrail should be there. We should not be doing any medical interventions. We should not be making medical decisions. That's not our job. I don't even care if you're a nurse and you are now a doula. When you are performing as a doula, you have to put your doula hat on and put your nurse hat in your bag, babe.
Right.
Like, you have to do that because you don't want the lines blurred. Now, in an emergency, sure. But those emergencies don't happen. When I go to a hospital, I'm immediately collaborative. would you mind helping this? Hi, I'm Andrea, especially with the nurses. Sometimes doctors don't speak to you, so whatever. The doctors don't speak to anybody sometimes. That's just what it is. But the nurses, if they have support, they're not the only person having to talk to the person. There is an advantage there. And sometimes nurses know tricks that I don't know. I've learned a lot birthing in hospitals, right? I learned how to make a hot pack and an ice pack in that last in Ziploc bags.
Mhm.
I learned how to like roll towels in a certain way or those terrible bed covers in ways to help hold this there or push this there or provide pressure in a certain way so my arms don't get tired. I learned that in real time in a hospital. And it's not us versus them.
Never. Even if that's their mentality,
That's not mine.
it's not mine. Right.
Because and here's the thing, it's not about none of us.
Right.
It's about the person birthing the baby. So this conversation is so crazy because the person that's birthing the baby is being forgotten. Someone asked us both to be here. So can we not support this person in a way that makes sense? In a way that's respectful and with dignity? The reason why we're here and having informed consent conversations is because there is a lack of dignity, a lack of respect, a lack of care. And in the nurses, and in defense of nurses, they can't just be sitting in the same room with this person the whole time. They have other people.
Right.
So why wouldn't I be collaborative with them? Ask them questions. What do you think? Do you think this? Like, I am very good at being collaborative in that space. And I'm also really good at queuing my clients. A lot of folks also don't take the time with their clients. So all y'all do is hop on one conversation or two virtually, speak for an hour, and expect your client to be ready to give birth when the baby comes 4 or 5 months later because you sent them some videos. The lack of care we're talking about and even seeing, even in the way that insurance is rolling out, they've gotten better. So I won't talk too much crap about it. But we're all talking about a system that we have to exist in. This work is adjacent to that. Actually, this work was birthed out of our ancestors.
Mhm.
Let's just start there. It was taken from us and bastardized. Now y'all selling it back to us and doing it terribly.
Mhm.
So to me, birth work is the same thing. People are making it what they want to make it. I think everybody should do their own sauce. You are completely great at the things you're completely great at. I'm great at the things that I'm completely great at. But you are not a good doula. I don't care who you are if you are not teaching folks how to make informed decisions. You don't need to get consent other than with what you're doing with them. But you're modeling consent behavior. You're modeling trauma informed care so that they know how to advocate for themselves and ask for what they want. So to say that you're only educating them and it's not your responsibility to get informed consent, you're playing word games on the internet. I don't care. Like that's no, no.
And it's like, I think a part of it too, it feels like appeasing the other side. Because there you always see like when you say rage bait, right?
Yeah,
So many videos that have gone viral that are like, don't hire a doula, you don't need a doula, they don't do anything. That's one side of it. The other side is doulas come in, they're aggressive, they argue. That is not necessarily on my algorithm, but I know that it's out there, right?
right.
And as much as I have experiences, and I'm sure I could get on here and be like, you need a doula because this is what happened. This is like what you said, breaking water without consent. That is common, right? And it's even with it, like, again, I am a doula and I said she does not want her water broken and it was done anyway, right? Um, but my whole purpose is not to come and be so one-sided, anti, like there's stuff that
No,
I see all the time, but I'm also not going to appease. It's like it's just like, we're meant to collaborate, but people that work together are not always going to agree. They're not always going to see eye to eye, but like you said, it's not
no.
about us. It's not about us. I don't have to agree with you.
You don't have to agree at all. Do they
Right.
want to do this or not?
Do
I've
they
had
want to
I've
do
had clients do everything opposite of what we planned.
right
And guess what? I'm still supporting their decisions.
here? Right.
Like,
I show up
I
and
don't
it's like
care.
we talked about, okay, when I come, before I come, ask them to set this stuff up in the room so you're still moving and walking around, and then, you're managing your contractions up until a point, where you just feel like you can't take it anymore because you don't have to be torturing
Right.
yourself.
Right.
And I've shown up to the hospital and sis was laid up in the bed. It's like, hey, I already got my epidural. Oh, okay.
All right. Well, let's get to work.
Yes. Okay.
Let's get to work.
Ask them for
Like,
ask them for peanut ball. Okay.
great. Exactly. Can I have some extra pillows? I need some sheets because we're about to start moving some shit around in here. Like, okay, girl. Hey, it is what it is. Because a lot of us think we want one thing and then we get ready to have that baby or we're in these other spaces and now we're having to make other decisions. That's also okay.
Fine.
As
Yeah.
long as you know the risks, the benefits, the alternatives, you following your gut, you've given yourself enough time to think about it. Because again, if there's an emergency, they be throwing paperwork at you, rolling you down a hospital, a hallway hospital, right? So a lot of times that dramatic stuff is not happening to people in their births. It's just not. On
Right.
people, their water breaks on average. I think it's either 12 or 15% of people actually go into labor. I don't even, but I have yet to see someone's water break before contractions start, and now their contractions start immediately. I've
Mhm.
never seen it. So whatever, right? Whatever you decide is fine with me. What I think the real conversation is, what is the scope of work? What should we be doing, or defining more about what advocacy means? Because advocacy sounds like a bad word to a lot of folks that don't like confrontation.
Yes. And I myself am not a confrontational person, so I get that. But you are not about to sit up here and disrespect, just from a principled point, doula or not. I know how vulnerable of a position being in labor is in that moment. I know how scary it can be, especially when things are happening that are unexpected.
Yep.
And it's not about confrontation. It's about you are not respecting this person, this human
Correct.
being. And how can I sit back and just allow something to happen without saying something? It's not, no, we're not going in there. Like you said, I'm a guest. I'm not going in there to cause a ruckus. I'm not going in there to
Oh,
put myself at risk from being banned from a hospital or
we're not doing that at all, actually. We're doing the
right.
opposite.
We're doing the opposite. We're saying no, no, no. She's not comfortable with that. And the thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize is the more comfortable you are, the better the outcome you will have with your
Listen,
labor and delivery experience.
that's literally it, right? The birth outcomes are important. We're trying to combat terrible birth outcomes. You can't do that. And the reason why we're combating it is the very system we're birthing the babies in. So if we're birthing babies in those spaces, the reason why we're there is to help you have that birth in that space.
Mm-hmm.
That's our job. Now, you might change your mind. You might, people change their mind all the time. We just have to also stop teaching as doulas like we like we're their principal or their mom.
Right.
What? No. I don't even care if, like, folks that work with teenagers as birth doulas are always talking about empowering their clients and families to go to a hospital. I'm in California. To go to a hospital and know you could be crowning, you could walk out of there. It's not for you to actually plan to leave when you're crowning. It's to understand the power of choice that you have.
Right.
Because now you understand that they can't make you do anything. I'm not saying that adults understand the power of choice. Maturity is you wielding it in fear, in uncertainty, in nervousness. Because asking for a minute, I really need to think about this, is important. I just talked to one of my clients literally today, yesterday, and their OB was telling them, well, at your age, having a baby go past 38 weeks is like you going into 42 weeks pregnant, which is scary to say to somebody and their first baby in the first place. So I had to tell them what they're talking about and why they care about advanced maternal health age, what they're really thinking about. It's not uncommon for them to want to induce. It's very common. Here's why they're saying this. Also, here's an evidence-based article for you to decide if you're okay with inducing so that you can make a decision. Either way, I'm there to support you. Just know these are the things. This is what I'm thinking. And based on what you said, like, I get it. There is some fear there. And I don't want to tell you that it's not. I mean, there's some risk at any point, really. So you got to sit with that. And maybe there's a compromise. Maybe they'll let you do 39 and 5, which a lot of them do. You can make your appointment at 38.5 and say, I don't want to go. I've also seen, and more often than not, you schedule your C-section, you got to go 2-3 days later because they didn't have emergencies come up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's not an emergency.
Not.
So you can always reschedule your induction, right? And if you're a little worried about going too far in the 40 weeks, I get that. No problem. And I mean, what mom wants to go longer pregnant? You know what I mean? Um, but there is statistics around advanced maternal health age. The older you are, the more at risk you are to have a stillborn baby. That is a real thing. Now, the actual statistics are higher than a younger person, but they also are not so astronomical where you don't have the choice. But you have to make it. I can't make it for you. So my job, again, is to educate, right? So what information am I giving you? One, to calm you down, to ground you, to give you the facts instead of just making overarching crazy comments about what I think the doctor did. Oh, how dare she? And I was like, that's cool. I'm like, oh, I know that was tough. That must have been really tough to hear. Let me just bring down the fear a little bit first. This is what she's talking about. There's also these things you need to consider. This you need to consider. This you need to consider. Here's the article. Let me know what you want to do. It's that is teaching informed consent, y'all.
Super simple. I have a personal experience anecdote I could share.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant, I am mostly plant-based. I don't eat any chicken or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at an appointment, the doctor said, we're concerned about the baby's weight at this time. She's measuring to be around 4 pounds. She should be at 5 pounds by now. You're going to have to start ramping up the protein. So
Okay.
you need to start eating red meat and chicken.
Dang.
And I simply said, no, because one, what are you going to do about it?
You can't knock down my door and make me do this.
No,
And you still need to get protein.
I'll figure it out. Thank you for the information. I'll figure it out. Thank
They
you.
didn't even see if you had dietary restrictions. They didn't even ask you.
They did ask me, well,
Oh,
I think you should consider it would be really good because if she's not a certain size, you know how they measure, and it's all estimates too. If she's not a
and
certain
it's always
size,
give or take 2 pounds.
right, she's not a certain size by your next appointment, we're just going to go ahead and induce you.
You're going to tell me you're going to induce me?
And it's just like,
Is that informed consent? Can anybody
oh,
chime in? Tell me.
sure.
That's not informed consent.
And my response was, okay. And she was born well over 7 pounds, 7 pounds and a great amount of ounces. It's not to say don't just write off what your doctor tells you, but also I know that for somebody that has not eaten chicken and especially red meat in probably over a decade,
Mm-hmm.
I am more of an expert on my body. That would not
That part. You'd be sick if you started eating red meat like that.
that would not have been a good outcome.
You've been sick.
Yeah.
Chicken, you might have got away with, but red meat like that, that's not how that works. But and that's what I mean. If you had a doula, your doula like, let me do some research. Let me find some ways to add more protein, more like complex carbs to your diet so that baby can do whatever she needs to do, right? If you were even worried about it. But our job isn't to say that you don't have the baby smaller or whatever. Our job is to say, okay, well, here's some solutions. Here's some options. Choose what works for you. And if you choose them, you don't. Same thing with, well, you should be working out. I work with moms that heavy lift, go to the gym 2 hours a day, been doing it, other than being tired in the first, trimester, get right back to it, weightlifting right up until, or going to Pilates right up until they birth their baby. But if you haven't been doing that in the first place, you're going to do yourself more harm because not only you're growing this baby, it's not used to this new rigor that you're trying to put it under in this space. So of course the prescription is not going to be saying, are you moving your body? Are you going on a walk every day? Are you getting some sunlight? Do you got a bike at your house? Can you ride a bike? Like whatever it is, you need to be moving your body at some point. But if you can't do it every week, if you can get in three days a week, that's better than you not doing anything. Right? Like it's so the polarizing all or nothing all the time is so wild.
Mm-hmm.
The even the concept of a doula is so confusing for a lot of folks because they don't understand that, or folks choose to not understand the power of choice. And everybody's going to choose different depending on what the circumstance is. If you get on Pitocin, you're more than likely do people have Pitocin. I mean, an epidural more often than not. Why? Well, the contractions are coming on extremely strong. They're happening quicker, where labor and delivery comes in waves, then it bumps up, then it stagnates for a while, and this new one, where Pitocin is just doing this on a slow climb, but it's just doing this. So you don't get a chance to settle in unless you advocate during Pitocin, turn the Pitocin off, or do whatever. These are all things that we can help educate your choices for. And if you decide to induce, okay, cool. What kind of induction do you want? Oh, I didn't even ask.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, okay, cool. You want to be induced? All right. Here's information about when you should be induced. Here's information about the type of induction. Let's talk about it. So that when they ask you, you can talk about a care plan. That's it. You're a participant in your care, period.
Right.
And you can only be a participant if you have practiced this throughout your pregnancy, not to be combative, but to ask questions. Hey, you're pulling my blood this time. What's this for?
Mhm.
Do I need to do it this time? Can we wait? I don't really want to get my blood pulled today. I'm just not in a good mood. How many times are you not in a good mood pregnant? I just don't want to deal with that right now. Do we have to do it today? Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Right? Like, hey, I'm having this thing happen to me. Why did you prescribe this instead of this? I just want to be clear. Or what if we didn't do a stress test every 3 days or every 2 days in late stage pregnancy? Do we have is there an alternative? It's to empower the decision making. So if a client comes to me and says, Andrea, they're having me do a stress test 3 days a week, and I'm like, well, ask your doctor if they're willing to compromise.
Mhm.
Go for the first week, see what happens. They might find something. So there's some validity around stress tests. They're like the lazy stress test. You're not like running on a treadmill or anything. But they're making sure baby's doing well, heart rate's pretty solid. If a contraction happens, how the baby's handling contractions. That's really what they're looking for. That's my own personal experience. They were like, I'm advanced maternal age. And they wanted me to go 2 or 3 times a week. I was like, absolutely not. Let's set a baseline. I will go once, I'll go twice the first week. My doctor was like, I need you to go the first week. I need you to go the second one. And then I'll see you in labor. I said, okay, cool. I see. I'll do those two. Right. Like, I just didn't want to be doing that. It had nothing to do with anything other than now, if they found something, then I would have continued to go. That was our compromise. That was our conversation. If something's awry and I feel like we need to monitor you, I'll call you. We can talk about it. But if not, do your 2 rounds and then let's see what happens. And everything was fine. So I didn't have to continue to go for freaking 5 weeks straight. You know what I mean? So it's like choice, choice, choice. Like it's just choice.
Right. So the informed comes from your doula. Informed,
Informed.
not making choices for you, not, doulas can be influential, but
Absolutely.
not in ways where it is, because influence can also veer into manipulation, right? If someone has an
It's
agenda,
a power dynamic.
right,
There is a power dynamic. You know more than them in this space.
right, on why they became a doula, if there's like I find a lot of times that doulas who have come into the practice because of maybe a traumatic experience that they had on their own,
Hmm.
if you don't figure out how to leave that behind, right, and not compare everybody's situation to yours and
Hmm.
bringing your personal, like experience. When I went through this, it's good to be like, this is what's possible, and you're not the only one that's gone through this, or, but it's like, if you are going in from a viewpoint of mistrust, sometimes it can be dangerous in that sense, right?
So dangerous.
But the informed is the same way that they are looking at it from a lens of evidence, research, studies, right? It's where are you leaning? What are your personal desires and values? And where's information that I can give you to share with you to educate you on, right? Now, granted, if somebody tells me something and I'm just like, well, that's dangerous, right? Like I don't want you to put yourself or the baby at risk, then
Yeah.
like, okay, that's dangerous. Please do
Mhm.
not drink castor oil.
Right. Right. Right.
Please don't drink
Or
castor.
let's get you some help. If you're really struggling that bad, let's
Right.
get you some help.
Right. But and it's not about my personal thoughts or opinions. I'm not telling
Mhm.
you. I have clients. It's like, did you decide to vaccinate your daughter? I'm not comfortable sharing that. Like, I don't. It's about what are your beliefs? Like, why are you leaning for or against this? What information can I provide? Or my favorite thing to say, this is a great conversation to have with your doctor to get this information. I think too, they're not the enemy, especially with my client. If this is the choice that you made to deliver, to work with this,
Person.
medical care system, this organization, because it is a corporation, right? Like you pick the hospital that you want to deliver in, the team
Not all
that
the time.
you're with.
Not all the time.
Well, yeah, depending on like but I know like here in Pennsylvania, right? Or in Philly, there's so many hospitals, right? Like
Mhm.
there's, Penn, Temple, Jefferson. You kind of have like your pick of where I'm gonna go to,
Mm.
and they're all pretty prestigious. So you decide to work with whoever for whatever reason. Oh, they have a midwifery program, or they have more state of the art. They're more prestigious. So in making that choice, then it's like okay, so this is the choice you made. So I have to respect it. I'm not
Mm.
encouraging you to go against, or make things more difficult than what they need to be, but you do have a right to ask questions. You
Yep.
do have a right to voice your opinion or voice concerns.
Hmm.
Nobody is coming to tell you just do it because I said so. And that sometimes it feels like that, right? Or,
Yes.
okay, we're gonna come. Okay, so we're just gonna do this. So we're gonna get this done. No, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have a conversation. You're gonna ask questions. I do have clients sometimes that ask me to attend appointments with them. And some I just feel like, okay, when is your next appointment? Let's get you prepared for that. Let's start
Right.
out now preemptively. What are a list of questions? What are things that came up in the last appointment that you may have had some concerns about? What are some things that have happened between then and now
Mm-hmm.
that you have questions about? What are you thinking about? What are your concerns with the actual process of labor and delivery? Like you said, the doctor that you meet with at your appointments, you could have knocked me over with a feather because I was actually calling this man on his cell phone, like, hey, I'm on my way to the hospital. And it was just going straight to the voicemail. Well, duh, because he's home from work and he's asleep. He's not on call.
Right. Right. I think too, someone said this in the comments, and we talked about this a little bit. There is a doula for somebody, right? You may not need someone that's hand holding you. You may not, maybe you want a friend in your doula. Maybe you only want to talk to them a couple of times and they show up at your birth, right? The point is the choice. That in and of itself is about choice. Same thing with your doctors, same thing with your midwives, right? Also, who you want in the room. These are all who you want to visit you in the first 30, 40 days after you have the baby. These are all choices. The choices don't stop because you're in the hospital. They're actually even more intricate because of where you're having to leverage the risk and benefits of everything. And sometimes you're afraid to make a decision, let alone have to take in new information while you're birthing. So what is the harm in that? And really be thinking about, when you're looking for a doula, is what do I need? What is it going to look like for me? How do I want my experience to feel in the moment and when I go home? How am I going to reflect on this moment with this person I'm choosing to share this experience with? And when we have all these intersections, the conversation led in that way, especially on the internet, I think that's kind of why it's led me to not talk so much on the internet, because it's too nuanced.
Right,
People don't get it. And I'm not into rage bait.
right,
It doesn't work for me, because I can get online and say whatever I want, but who is it really helping? And what are we trying to do with this information? Like, what was the point of that video? And it felt like clicks to me. I'm sorry. I don't care how seasoned of a doula you are. That felt like clickbait to me, or rage bait, excuse me. You want to get people riled up instead of being clear about, like, later in the video, start to like clear up a little bit, but I'm cueing myself to listen to the words that she's saying, but like where she's coming from, what videos she stitched, who she is, right? I'm considering the source, right? I'm thinking about, why is she saying this
mm-hmm.
as a doula, and this all these other things she listed, right? Why are you saying it?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm modeling a behavior that I teach people all the time.
Right.
Why is this person saying this to me? What is their point? Why should I care about it? How does it affect me? How does it affect people around me? And the same thing we're talking about in birth. Why should I care about this? Is this important to me? Some people don't care about delayed cord clamping. Great. You don't care about it? Cool. Next thing. Like, cool,
Right.
great. Right? How's it going to affect me? How's it going to affect this baby? How's it going to affect my life? This is what we're talking about. This is why this is such precious work. People get mad when I say sacred, so I'll say precious work. This is precious, and it should be treated as such. Doesn't mean things don't happen, but it's precious, and we should treat it as such.
Mm-hmm.
And when things are treated preciously, you treat them delicately. You're paying attention to the little things. You're not throwing something in the washer. You're hand washing it. You might take a little something and dab it so you can hang it. You might dry clean it. You're paying attention to the details. This is no different.
I agree. I think, and this could be my closing thought. You can
Sure.
have a closing thought, of course,
Okay,
but
cool.
like you said, for me, it's about empowerment, number one,
Hmm.
and understanding that the experience belongs to you, right? Whether it's your first child or your fifth child, it's still
Hmm.
your child. You
Hmm.
go into spaces, especially hospital, even birthing centers, right? You
Yep.
could be their fourth baby on a Wednesday, right? It's just another Wednesday to them. It's not
Hmm.
um so empowerment and taking ownership of your experience and
Yep.
not just going through the motions and not having any control of the outcome or having your birth plan. Because you said people get up in arms when you say sacred, people get up in arms when I say birth plan. Because no, you're not in control of
Oh, it's just a guideline.
it. let's just let me educate you, okay? Like, yes, that we're doing a birth plan not because you can foresee the future and predict what's going to happen. It is about educating yourself,
Yes. Yes.
but also, like you said, respecting or uplifting dignity, like holding on to that dignified. It's not like you're not, okay, you're in a hospital, but you're not there as like a trauma patient or like you, like birth. Yes, there are medical interventions and
Absolutely.
stuff that help with the progress of birth and the safety, right? But the whole idea of this is the only way to do it, this is the safest way to do it, this is, you still have some dignity, you still can hold in line the values of, sacredness. I always say, like, when I have clients and I say, do you want dim lights? Would you like us to make a playlist? Would you like me to bring a
That's my
diffuser
favorite
so
thing
we
to do.
can, get aromatherapy
Mhm.
in there? It's hard if you don't train your mind to say, yes, it's a hospital, but you can still make it a space that
Mhm.
is yours, right? Like
Mhm.
that. And you'll see the ambiance changes. They don't just walk in the room and
Yes,
like it's not
exactly, because they're humans too.
exactly, it's more like, okay, I am stepping into a space of,
Care.
oh, yeah, of care. Bedside manner changes. The I use the word vibes entirely too much, but the vibe changes. The vibe changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to say, you know, I'm not there to give you informed consent because you own the consents.
You
I'm
own it.
there to give you the information to empower you and to make sure that your experience is dignified and safe and it is the best possible outcome that you can have. A birth plan to me is, and I hear it entirely too much. My only plan is to leave the hospital alive. Well,
That's great, but there's all kinds of ways you could do that. You could have a C-section and leave the hospital alive,
right, right.
right? Uh, yeah. Closing thoughts. I want us all, I want us all to be paying attention to who is saying what, when they're saying it, who they're talking to, and why. And it's hard because we are on the internet, and especially as a pregnant person, it is so scary to be online and trying to make decisions, trying to find out information because we know these rates, right? We know, especially if you're a Black, Brown, Indigenous, LGBTQ plus person trying to birth children in hospitals, there are things that are at risk for your safety, and they are very real. It does not mean, though, that you cannot have, like you just alluded to, the labor that you want, the experience that you want, because at the core of it, none of us want to be traumatized in this space. And so when you're looking for doulas who support you in this space, then figure out what matters to you most and figure out if they can do that. Instead of looking up all that negative stuff online, look up people having great birth experiences in the hospital with and without an epidural, with and without induction. So you can see what it can be. Don't go on like TV shows. They always, it's either the extreme, super fast or super slow and traumatic. It's never anything in between, where most labors are that. Um, and then lastly, doulas jobs, we're not your principal. We're not the boss of you. We just have a little bit more information and we can think soundly in that moment because we're the person that's not birthing the baby. We can just take care of you. The level of care that is needed in these spaces is necessary. Even if you had a doula simply because the nurses can't be in the room with you all the time, that is a good enough reason to have a doula. Full stop, right? Because somebody's there to listen, to bounce ideas off of, to support you, to let you know you could do this, to get you through to the other side. That's what we do. And hopefully you've had enough time to spend with your doula or taken a really great comprehensive childbirth education class that also gave you information to help you understand what happens in these spaces. And I'm not talking about the hospital ones they give you for an hour. I'm talking about the ones that take a couple of weekends over 4 to 6 hours at a time, um, or a full day that you can learn some things. You're not going to take everything, but you'll learn some stuff so that you can help yourself navigate this space. Also, we're not in competition with nurses and doctors. We are in collaboration. And as doulas, we should be always looking to be in community, even if it's with folks that we don't want to. And the last thing I'm going to say, I personally have stopped centering the systematic oppression of the medical system. I no longer am doing this work because of that. I'm doing it because people deserve the dignity, the respect, and preciousness of this experience. Period. No matter what that's doing, I'm still going to do this. Good or bad, ebb and flow. I'm going to do this because folks deserve it, not because it's lacking in a system that's built for it to lack. And that's my closing thoughts.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
So, I mean, you'll be back on this channel.
Of course. Anytime. We talk too much to not be. You just
I
have to
know.
just pull me in anytime.
We
And
talk.
Dana can call me at any point and tell me, Andrea, can you want to talk about a topic? And I'm like, yeah. So
Just, and I also the doula, and oh my God, now I can't even think of her name. She is
okay.
my doula sister from Delaware. She sent it
Hmm.
to me. I just love that we're having these conversations and recognizing these things. But like you
Hmm.
said, it's important. If that's fine for you, you just
Ooh,
it's
good for
somebody for
you.
everybody. But I'm just,
Hey, I got a lot of opinions about a lot of doulas. I don't have no opinion about your birth other than let's get this baby here, let's get you safe, and let's get as close to the birth experience as we can.
yes, yes.
That's my goal.
So it just so happened that we were talking tonight. The message came across. I said, let me just hit record, right? And I owe YouTube another video anyway. So
Okay, good. We'll
here we
clip
go.
it up, sister.
Here we go. Here we go.
Um, should
Where
I
can
tell
they where
people?
can they find you, Andrea? Where Andrea, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You can find me on all the things. So my doula stuff is Nurture and Flow Birth, spelled all the way out on all the things. It might be Nurture and Flow in some other places. You can also find me on YouTube at Nurture and Flow as well. Um, I what oh yeah, that's where folks can find me. Even on TikTok, I'm Nurture and Flow.
Nurture and Flow. You guys can find me. You see my name right here, Daina. I am Daina the Doula everywhere.
Okay.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Substack,
Work,
Threads. I'm there.
work. I am in Threads too. I forgot.
I
I don't go on there that
I
often.
don't.
I'm no longer on Twitter. I have Blue Sky, but that's my personal one, and I don't want y'all coming to talk to me over there.
Okay. So thank you so much for spending this time with
Of
me,
course.
Andrea, and guys,
Anytime.
thank you. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. I want to continue to have these type of conversations. It's helpful for everybody.
Yeah.
Aspiring doulas, people
Folks
looking
that
for
want to get pregnant, folks that know people that are pregnant, we all should have be armed with this information. I mean, and I just want us to like look around. There was a time where this work you were hiding in plain sight, and we are not too far off from it being that way again.
Mhm.
So look around. There's a reason why this work has thrived as much as it does, and has always.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks for joining.